thank you. Yeah, first of all, I would really like to thank the organizers for inviting me. That's great, and it's also a little weird to me because actually I haven't spoken in public for, I think, 7 or 8 years now. And I think the main reason I got invited was actually because I graduated at this very department here, like at the mathematical department of Constance. So this is probably the main reason I got invited. And most things I tell you today are rather rumors, but have never spoken in public of. So this will be some type of a premiere. I'm not entirely sure what the expectations at this workshops are. So I have to guess, and there's a good chance I will totally miss it. So I ask you for apologies about this one. And also, it might get a little bumpy. I might start stuttering also. Please forgive me. I will give my best, and I will show you the world of founding and business founding. I'm not a huge businessman, but at least I made it once in my lifetime to have a successful company for a couple of years. And it's really difficult to speak about founding because there are a lot of nuances and things that are not applicable for one business, but were applicable for our business. So I will mostly stay entirely with our business and with our business model. I'm not sure about you if you ever plan to found something. When I was your age, like at the edge of becoming a PhD, I was not thinking about founding anything. It came very spontaneously in my life. So you probably don't even know that you will be a founder one day. Or maybe you have already planned it. I don't know. We can discuss later. So I will stick to our business model. So it's pretty important that you will understand our business model. But it's super easy. And it comes into handy a lot that you're all mathematicians. So a small introduction to our business. Does this work actually? No. Great. And maybe it's not on, off. It's not working. Is it working here? No, because the focus is on the web conference. Now it's working. Cool. Cool. So a brief introduction about our company. It was called Abiturma, and it's not working from here. Interesting. And I co-founded it 2014 with 2 friends of mine. Let's call them David and Martin for now. I won't talk about them much, but sometimes I need a reference to them. To give you a feeling of the size of the company, between 2015 and 2020, roughly, we had about 1.5 million annual recurring revenue. Like, this is the metric, the metric people brag about on Twitter, the ARR thing. I don't like it, but I just want to give you a feeling. It's not a tiny company, but it was not a huge unicorn company as well. It's like about the size of a bigger bakery in town that has maybe 2 or 3 shops. So it's not a huge thing. So it's not very special to talk about it, right? But there were some aspects that were special. One of the aspects was we were fully remote and fully ephemeral. What do I mean with ephemeral? I mean, there was no tangible Abiturma there. There was no building. There was a letterbox, yes, because you were required to have one, but there was not more. And we were not an online company. We were a real company that did real stuff, but other than in high season, you could not feel it. It was just an idea. So this is kind of a little special. And okay, this sucks a little. Maybe I have to put my computer, it's super brittle. Probably everything will fall apart now. Does it work now? Yes. And also very special, we were fully equity. So if you're like me, I did not know the word because I'm not a marketing person. Equity means it's only our money. We did not use any money of a bank. Never, 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 never. We used own money. And we were people like you. So maybe you think we were rich, and if you're a rich kid, you can found a company, but we weren't. We took our own company, and we were people like you, PhD students. We got the salary you got, probably even less because of inflation. So we invested roughly about 500 to 1,000 euro each. So this is kind of special to invest 1,000 euro and to build a company that is above 1 million revenue. That's cool. Admittedly, there was a lot of luck. We were lucky a lot, but it's still cool. So this sets us apart a little, at least. So what's the business model? You need to understand this. It's super easy. So the idea was, can everyone read this? Is it too small? Is it great? Cool. So we conduct courses for the German final high school exam. The exam is called Abitur. Yeah, you see where the names get together. It's called Abitur, and usually it takes place in April or May. I will come to that later. It's part of the story. So April, May, we have the Abitur. Courses usually are before the Abitur, March, April, somewhere close. And we would focus only on mathematics. Why? Because if you go someplace to the pedestrian zone and you ask high school students what they are mostly scared of in terms of exam, they will answer you mathematics for sure. Well, this is the situation in Germany. I'm not sure about the places you come from, but in Germany it's 100% sure people are scared of mathematics. I don't know why, but it's the scary subject in school. And it's not our idea, actually. People did that before. There were companies running courses for mathematics to prepare them for the German Abitur. We were just copycatting them. Actually, I was working in such a company as a teacher. The company was founded by my former math teacher. He was a sketchy guy, but he was smart. So he had this company, and I taught there, I gave lessons there, and you could immediately see there are things you can improve. So we were thinking, hey, there are obvious things you can improve. For instance, he treated the students really badly, so he let them feel that they were in need to get some help in mathematics. So he was the smart teacher, and those were dumb students, and he let them feel this. So I had the feeling maybe we can improve here if we are just a little nicer to the people. Also, he had classrooms with like 35 people, and we thought, hey, we could be just less greedy and have a nicer learning environment for the people. So to give you a better imagination of this type of company, let's start out with some initial parameters, just that you get like the full picture and the way how we would depict our company before it was even founded. So we three friends, by the way, we were all mathematicians, two of them working as a PhD or becoming a PhD. The other was working on a PhD in philosophy, also a mathematician in his master. So we were talking, okay, how could a course look like? So first, a course would take place in the school vacation. People have time then. Let's go to school vacation, 5 days. Competitors were sometimes 6 days, sometimes 4 days. We went 5 days. And we would put maybe 18, maybe 25 people in a class, but not more. Keep quality up. And students don't have a huge attention span. So usually you notice yourself. Usually you can concentrate 4 or 5 hours, but not longer. But you have to pay the room all day. So you would split in 2 groups. You have a morning group, an afternoon group. Same course, same stuff, same teacher. The teacher teaches twice, easy. Quality gets better if the teacher in the afternoon teaches the same stuff like before. He is much more confident then. Works great. We put on a web form where you could just enter your name, click submit, and you would be enrolled in the course. So super easy shopping form. No online shop, just a contact form, and if you hit submit, you're trapped. Um, then we would make classes of it, and we would sort the people by their math grade. Like in the online form, we would ask them, like, how do you think? What is your grade in mathematics? In Germany, usually the grades go from 0 to 15 points, where 15 is the best. So we could sort students. We copy all of that from our math teacher. Nothing new so far. Teachers are, of course, self-employed, so we don't have to deal with hiring people, because hiring is complicated. You have to pay social insurance and stuff, and you have to pay all the time. This is expensive, so they're just self-employed. They would get a script. We write a script for the teachers, and they can just write it down on an overhead projector. This is what we thought. This is how we see it, how it works. They are writing all the time. And when it comes to rooms, we would just rent them cheaply from schools. This is what my teacher did. And this works great, right? The course takes place in school vacation, so schools are vacant, they're empty. So we could give schools a little extra money, they could give us their rooms, and we could make the job they should do in their vacation. And when it comes to payment is complicated, you have PayPal and stuff. We wouldn't bother, we would collect the course fee in cash, because it's cheap, it's simple, and people will pay if you stand next to them and say, hey, well, this is here an entrance fee. And we could see it with my old math teacher. Usually his wife came through the classrooms and was collecting the money, and the wife was tall and a little intimidating, so people would pay. And she usually wore like high heels, so she was even taller. It was fun, actually. Okay, so we have not founded anything yet. We have just talked on the phone a little. We were spread out over Germany, so we don't even had real contact like we three. We were just talking a little. And then we started to do the maths. I mean, it's tenors here, so let's do some maths. And the maths is trivial. So we took a piece of paper, like metaphorically, and could see, okay, we have two groups in the morning and the afternoon, and maybe we have 20 people, and let's charge them 139 euro. This was the price for many years, and it was just given by the competitors. It was like a natural price somehow. We guessed that a room would cost 400 euro. This is, for many years, it was the price we paid for a room, actually. It worked. And we would pay a teacher 1,000 euro for the 5 days. It's not a huge salary, but when you're a young teacher, so usually it's not even PhD students, but just regular math students, 1,000 euro in 5 days is not too bad, especially if it's 2014 and money has still some worth. And we have some logistics. No one knows what this is. It's just a buffer zone. We do sloppy maths here because it's not worth to do precise maths. We are just dreaming of something. So why do precise maths when dreaming of something? And we could see if shit hits the fan, a course room would still be profitable. If we have only 8 people in class, I mean, it's a tiny class. I mean, it's 16 people. If we make it to advertise 16 people, we still have some profit in the room. And if we are lucky, maybe it gets full. And then we make 5,000 a room. But you can see, the zone where it's profitable is big. So no need to do precise calculations here. We will make some money. This is what we thought. There will be money. There's a lot of things we cannot anticipate, but there will be money. I mean, 4,000 euro for one room doesn't sound big, does it? You cannot make a living of it, especially if you're 3 people. But when you imagine you don't have 1 room, but like my math teacher in Stuttgart, have 12 rooms, 3 times a year, it's getting more interesting. And when you now think, there's not only 1 big city in Germany, but there are more big cities, like 10, 20, then it gets really interesting, doesn't it? So What we noticed, though, was all our competitors, they were a little stupid because they stayed in one city. There was a big competitor in Stuttgart, there was a big one in Munich, and further up north, we were not looking. And we thought, hey, let's go in multiple cities, let's spread out, let's make it big, because this piece of math will project to all cities in Germany, kind of. This is what we thought. So we started founding a company. This is phase one. You actually found something. So far we were just dreaming. But then we started to make things concrete. So we have spring 2014. It's really long time ago now. But it still feels like very, very recent to me, to be honest. So we had January the 19th, and we were just being on the phone and dreaming around. And then something weird happened. One of the crazy guys said, hey, let's do it. And I was like, I'm a hesitant person. I like to dream. I said, yeah, let's do it, 2015. Let's plan it all the year a little, and then make it 2015. And he was like, no, make it 2014. Make it now. Because if you don't make things now, you won't make them. So we decided we go for Abitur 2014. So you remember, Abitur is in April or May. Depends on the exact location where you're going to school. So we have 3 months to found a company and to get it fully operational. Marketing, everything. We had 3 months. So this is one of the key learnings I had. If you want to start something, start now. If you can afford it, start now. Because I would have waited a year and probably then I had other plans or something. And even if it worked out and we started 1 year later, we would have lost a lot of money or made it never to the market, actually, just due to history, how things worked. So, what were our principles? If you found a company within 3 months to get fully operational and ship your product, you have to stick to a couple of principles. The first principle was, we will only serve one city. This reduces complexity a lot, only one city. So we picked Munich. No one of us was living close to Munich. Any ideas why we picked Munich? You're right. It's about cash. Munich is the capital of Bavaria. Bavaria is a rich state. It's insanely. So there was the money. It was the home of the money, yes. But there was another reason that is more technical. Bavaria has the latest Easter holidays. So we had the most time. And there's a third reason, and that is in Munich, there was a competitor. Why would you go to a place where a competitor is? Any ideas? I mean, the product is straightforward, but still you need students that have the notion that you will pay for preparation for a class. In Eastern Germany, for instance, people had never extra lessons what they pay for, so they had the product itself was not introduced. When you have a competitor that is successful, you just need to be better than the competitor. If you enter a city where you have no competitor, you need to explain your product. This is much worse. So when you want to sell electric cars, go to Norway. It's probably best. Next principle was no external teachers. We would not hire anyone, just us three. We could all three teach. More or less, it will work out. And if you do the math, every classroom can accommodate 2 times at most 25 people. We are 3 people, so we could accommodate 150 people. Absolutely no need to hire external teachers, right? We expected like maybe 20 to 50 people in our first course, so we could have 1 guy teaching and 2 guys doing all the business around. So this was the plan. And also a very, very important thing, go easy on everything that is not associated directly, absolutely directly to your product. So usually when people found a company, they discuss 2 weeks, 2 months about their legal form. So it's difficult to talk about legal forms in English for an international group because it's different everywhere. But usually you have the concept of a limited everywhere. That is a company that needs some investment up front. In Germany, it's 25,000 euro. But then everything, the business is a subject on its own. When it goes bankrupt, it only takes the money you put in the first place. But you can also be a civil law association. That is the thing with the least legal boundaries. You can do everything. When you share a flat with someone in Germany, you have a civil law association. In Germany, by the way, it's called GBR. You would not use that for founding a business because you're fully liable for everything. If I screw up, I would pay back all my money and my partners would pay all their money as well if only I would screw up. So it's very, very risky. On the other hand, it's cool because you have no legal obligation whatsoever. You can go super easy on bookkeeping. You don't even need a contract. If you share a flat with someone, you have a non-written down declaration of will that you will share the flat with this person. You already are a GBR at this point. You don't need a contract, and we hadn't, because it was not necessary to have a course in 3 months. We had nothing. We did not spend any thoughts about bookkeeping. Why? Because it's not important for shipping stuff. So we ignored that entirely. We just collected the receipts we got. I mean, we would collect the money in cash, so what's bookkeeping here? Of course, we would not betray the tax department of its taxes, but it's our business to do the writing down. So we stayed super, super low profile here, and this was key. Founding a limited would take 3, 4, 5, 6 months. You cannot be fast with it. And we used this super lightweight setup a lot because it makes things so easy. So a key point here is marketing, by the way. Teaching is easy, finding rooms is probably easy. We had no idea. It's probably easy. We had connections to Munich, so rooms were no problems. Marketing is a big thing. If you have a product and no customers, what is the product for? You need people come in the course. So marketing is absolutely key. And what we did was pretty easy. So I could see in our school, we just got flyers. Printed and copied on regular paper, A5, leaflets. Ugly as shit. So we thought we make it better. We sent flyers to 100 flyers to all schools in Munich. There are not so many schools, maybe 50 or 100, I don't know anymore. But we will make the flyers looking expensive. So we used a weird format for the flyers. It was like A4, but only the upper third. So it's weird if you get a flyer like this, and in 2014, it was even weirder. And we used thick paper and a good finish, so it looked very, very professional. But then we did not take into account one important thing. Our teacher handed out the flyers himself because it was his company. But how would we get these teachers, which we never saw or did not know, to hand out our flyers? How can you make a teacher whose job is teaching stuff to hand out your marketing materials? How would you do that? Any idea? Okay, it's a difficult thing because actually the sheer existence of our company is like beating the teacher in his face. It's like saying, hey, you make a bad job, that's why we have to take over and teach your students in 5 days what you couldn't teach them in 2 years. So we needed to be very, very careful, very polite. So we sent a very beautiful package to each school. So it was a little bigger package, beautifully packed. And we put a cover letter on it, being very careful, very polite, no marketing speech, very important, professional, like within school type professional speech, where we're like, hey, we are a startup, we have a very strong math background, and we just want to support you. We want to help you because we know that you have a hard job. And probably you know students in your class who would profit from a course like this, but cannot afford it. If you have students in your class and you know they have like a difficult family or so, let us know, and just let us know one number. And this is the number of vouchers for free participation you want to get. It's a bit risky. I mean, teachers could say 200, and then we would probably be screwed. But teachers, I mean, they work for the government. They don't abuse stuff, and they didn't. So, but we could see later, people were distributing our flyers, and this worked. What else we did was, of course, social media marketing, yeah. We used Facebook at the time. Facebook was a cash cow. In the beginning, we invested like 10 euro per day. We did not know what we were doing, but we had we had a photo shooting with like a nice person. She was really pretty. We put her on the front page reading a math book. It drew a lot of people. She looked really sexy. And we got blocked once by Facebook as well because she looked a little too sexy. But it worked. It was fun. And then we were all set. We were writing our scripts. We put a date. It was Monday, April 21st, 2014. And after 1 month, roughly, we went online. We had a booking form. The booking form, I was building the website. I'm not a designer at any means. It was ugly as the night. We had a booking form. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. And we had no script written down because we were like, yeah, let's see how many people will sign up before we make any work. And the time passed and not so many people signed up. So we were really, really slow on writing down materials. So probably only Martin was going to teach. But then when time progresses, we could see, wow, it's a month before, and we could maybe fill one classroom. This would be great. And then we bumped up a little the volume on the social media. And suddenly we could see, oh shit, we all three have to teach. Oh shit, and there will be no one organizing stuff because we will all be busy teaching. And in the end, we were actually overbooked. We didn't need to hire anyone, but we were slightly overbooked. That was cool. I mean, this is like a precise landing, isn't it? And we had about 10% of them were coming for free. So it's a great balance. Teachers liked us because they could send their poor teachers to our place. We did a great job. We got great feedback. Everything was great. And you remember we collected the money in cash. This is cool. So we had like a pile like this, money in cash. It was really cool. We were in our hotel room, like counting the money, and it was a cheap room, and it was not locked, and somehow drunk people came into the room, and like the bed was full of money. This was funny. It was not the last time it should happen. So everything was successful. So we enter a new phase, scaling up. So let's do it in every city. Of course, not in every city, but let's scale it up big. So we decided to do this in 17 German cities in fall 2014. So we had like 4 or 5 months to make it big. And unfortunately, there were a lot of caveats too. So now when we planned this, we would know while all the competitors stayed in their city. First, a German thing, I'm not sure exactly where you're from, how it's in Italy and Spain, but in Germany, education is a matter of the state you live in. We have 16 federal states in Germany, and they have all different curricula. This is difficult, actually. They name things different. Schools name their grades different, or their levels are named different. Things they teach are entirely different. In some states, the government makes the Abitur. In other states, the teacher designs the Abitur. The notation is different. In some cities, you would have X, Y, Z when you are in 3 space. In others, you would go around with X0, X1, X2. For you, it's super easy, yeah? Of course, I mean, what do you care how the variables in 3 space are called? But for people who struggle in mathematics, it can be a deal breaker if they get materials that have different notation, or they use different words than they are used in school. So this is a huge caveat. The second is, managing this stuff is super difficult. The 160 people we managed on an Excel spreadsheet. We had to send them emails, or your morning group, afternoon group, how much money you have to bring, and there happened a lot of mistakes. Going up to 17 cities is crazy, so managing this is impossible. We figured out that finding rooms is extremely difficult. The math teacher we had, he used a private school he was friends with, so he could rent out their rooms easily. Most cities would deny renting out their rooms for private companies. So this got super tricky. When we 3 were teaching, it was super easy. But when you have to find teachers, it's super difficult because you have to guarantee that they do a good job. And they are crucial for a course like this. Flyers scale absolutely badly. On our first flyers, we put on Munich, 21st of April, come. When you go to 17 cities, it's difficult because you need 17 different flyers. Errors happen, wrong dates, for instance. And if you send flyers, there are some areas in Germany that are extremely metropolitan. If you have a school between Cologne and Bonn, it's not sure which flyer to send at each city. You have to do a lot of research for that. And we would need like intermediate hierarchies. We could not just send teachers to cities and ask them to collect our money. They will lose some of the money probably. I mean, we lost some of the money. So you need trustworthy people in between. So it was time to find out a solution for that. And it's a little ironic. So it should be about soft skills. But what set us really apart here at this stage were the hard skills, actually. So most of our competitors were run by business people. Business people know maybe a little calculus and stuff, but they have no mathematical background. And now our mathematical background really kicked in. So how would we solve the curriculum? Well, we would write a book in LaTeX. And LaTeX, you all know, I assume, right? Of course you do. And LaTeX is great because you can program things. So we asked some famous German LaTeX guru, to program our own document class, Abiturma. That was capable of dealing with like optional content or with optional notation or different or branched out or bifurcated notation. So we could program a book that you need just to compile 16 times, and then you have a book for each federal state. Actually, it was 32 books because you have a high and a low level in every state, or in some states you have. For the management, we programmed our own CRM, so customer relation management, or ERP, enterprise resource planning software. So for managing so many people, you need software for that. There is software out there for managing stuff. Usually it's for warehouses or for hospitals or so, and then you have to abuse the software. And then you run your course company like you would run a hospital. We didn't do that. We developed our own. Actually, it was me programming it. and I could not program at that time. But it's a great motivation if you have 3 months and it needs to run on production. So we built this, and these two things gave us an outstanding position on the market. No one else could do that. This was magic. For teaching, it was cool. In Germany, you have one very, very respectable organization running scholarships. It's called Studienstiftung des deutschen Volkes. Sounds impressive, doesn't it? And we had a contact to there because we had a scholarship there as well. And we could get in their newsletters for hiring math teachers. This was great because they have quite a barrier to get in. Getting a scholarship there, you need to have outstanding hard skills, so you need to be great on your respective field. And they're asking for a lot of social engagement, things that make you less a weirdo. So it was a great pool to scoop out. We got really great, outstanding teachers. Later, a couple of years later, we were blocked because we were spamming them too much. But in the beginning, it was great. We got great people there. And for all the other problems, we just hired people. Like finding rooms, it was super difficult. We hired people that would sit on the phone all day and find rooms. Just have to check the time. Okay. I need to be a little faster. So when you go big and your main selling proposition is quality, how would you maintain quality? Well, now this is where the marketing bullshit bingo starts. What you should do is, I told you before how our teacher treated the people bad. So we wanted that people are treated nicely and that they feel comfortable in the course all time. So how would we do that? Of course, we would train our teachers on soft skills. Hey, now we have some soft skills. So what can you tell a teacher that will improve the atmosphere in a course? I mean, you have to brief them, you have to tell them, and we had a lot of things how they should treat people, but there was one I want to mention because it's simple, easy, and it's very, very concrete. Of course, you can teach people like, teach your students nicely, but what does this even mean? But one thing we did is, I mean, we had great lists to print out because we would know by our management system who is in which class. So we told them and insisted that they would learn the names of their students. So they would come in on day 1 and they would know the names of the students. And this makes a huge impact. Say you, for instance. Imagine now, picture yourself, you're an intimidated person who is really scared of maths, and you go like in the lion's cave, and there's like a math nerd teaching you a thing or two. So you're maybe intimidated. Maybe you dare to raise your hand and to say something, and it makes a difference whether the teacher says, yeah, your solution is, it's not good. Or if you say something like, hey, Oriol, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us. Is it the right name? Yes, alhamdulillah. Yes. So thank you for sharing it. It's like 80% right. We just have a little problem here, and we will fix that together. Does it make a difference? It makes a huge difference. And if you scale this up to 25 people in the classroom, people will feel welcome, and they will get a little more confident. And honestly, this is what you need in the exam. You just need to reduce your fear and to scale up your confidence and some hard skills, of course, as well. Of course, we got up with the materials, so we printed books. They were looking like this. Our competitors had like handwritten or word-written stuff they copied and stapled them together. We had books color-coded and stuff. Of course, one book for every state. And we would send the books immediately when people were signing up. They had not paid money at this point. They signed up, our logistics get a signal, and they will send a book to this person. So this makes a good feeling. You buy something, but you don't pay, but you get already the product. This is cool. And one thing that is super important, customer service. Most, even big companies, save money on that issue. You shouldn't. Customer service is key. So when we had high season in spring, we would usually start hiring people in September, October, so that we could train them. And we wouldn't pay them minimal wage. We would more or less pay them the same amount like teachers, a little less, but we would pay them roughly double minimum wage. And we gave them all the permissions. If a person calls and said, like, I'm too poor to afford the course, they could reduce the price to €0. They had permissions for that. Usually when you call customer service and you're dissatisfied, they're usually like, oh yeah, I understand your problem, but I cannot do anything about this. No. Our customer service employees could do everything about it. They could issue a full reimbursement. By the time, by the way, we did not collect the money in cash anymore. We went up a little. We had bank transfers. Like still today. It's a little awkward. So customer service is key. When it was high season, we had like 3, 4, 5 lines open. And if we would miss a call, we would call back when possible. Usually people had not to wait in line when they called us. And even if so, 5 minutes later, they were called back. I mean, how often have you contacted customer support and were called back? Unless it's Apple or Amazon. And when it comes to emails, we were answering or responding, I mean, in business hours, of course, but we were responding usually within 2 to 4 hours. And in high season, we had several hundreds email per day. So this was one key thing, and it's cheap. I don't understand why bigger companies don't do this. It's super cheap to have a great customer service. And if you have a great customer service, many people call, by the way, and just want to be informed about the product. And if you have a good customer service, you can have a sales talk. You can convince them of the course. Nothing better can happen to you than a potential customer coming to you and asking you questions. It's so much easier than you have to come to the customer, and the customer has an ad blocker. So, you can be really good, but you still will have complaints. To give you a notion of the size, we passed fall 2014, 2,000 signups. Spring 2015, 4,000 signups. We skipped the fall, it's not interesting. Spring 2016, 10,000 signups. Spring 2017, 12,000 signups. Rounded numbers. So there will be complaints. People will be dissatisfied. What can you do if you have dissatisfied people? Any ideas? How can you calm down a mother that calls you and says, my little boy is not learning anything in your crappy course? How could you respond to that? What can you do? Yeah? Exactly. Oh, this is cool. Actually, we did that, but I put it not on a slide. Yeah, you could give the people the money back when they would not pass the exam. And actually, we did that. I totally forgot, by the way, when I was preparing the talk. Yes, we did that. But in general, yeah, you can give the people the money back. So how would you do this if you give people the money back? Is it like, hey, yeah, we can give you the money back, but please tell anyone because then everyone will come? Will you do it like this? No. When you give the money back, you will make it big. We will give you the money back. And how is that called? It's called a guarantee. So we had a money back guarantee. So the course runs 5 days. how long would you give the money back guarantee? Would you say you can cancel for free before the course? Or would you say you can have a look at 2 hours and then cancel the course? What do you think is a sweet spot? How would you put it in your company?
2 days.
Exactly. This is what we did. We said after 2 days, you can cancel and get all the money back. Yes. So, yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you get all your money back. 2 full days. And if people were a little hesitant after the second day, we would say, customer service, because they can do everything. We would say, hey, then have a look at the third day, and if you don't like it, we just extend the guarantee. It's still cheaper than reimburse immediately. So yeah, and of course we advertise this big. I mean, if you can have a product and you can have 40% for free, this is great. It's also super risky, of course, you see. So it's great because it forces you to keep quality up. And here's a nice experience. What would we do with the book? I told you, we sent the book up front, so people would end up with the book. Who owns the book now when they cancel? What do you think? I mean, you could already see it on the slides. We would just leave them the book. This book is some weird A5 huge flyer advertising material they could bring back into their classroom, regardless if they stayed in the course or not. This is advertisement material. And actually we printed like 25 euros on it. You couldn't buy it, but it looks very valuable. So the people thought they made a really good deal here. So of course there's a risk. A book like this costs us 5 euro to print and to ship. So we will lose some money when people cancel. So this forces you to maintain very, very good quality. That's great. And there's some advantages you have. Some of them are super obvious, but some of them aren't. So super obvious, no, this is not super obvious, but actually this is a soft skill issue. If you have a class like this and now it's like front teaching, someone is talking, you're silent, but in a real classroom environment, there's more discussion. And say you have a person there absolutely dissatisfied, sitting in there like this. This will draw down the atmosphere in the entire course. This can crash your class. If you release these people, you have a much better group dynamic within the class. So it's a nice way to get rid of nasty people. They are happy, the remaining people are happy as well, so that's great. Reputation is cool. If someone dares to give you a 40% money back guarantee, they cannot ship trash, right? They need to have a nice product. And this is a subtle one, but this is a key thing. So imagine we have in some weeks we had up to 4,000 or 5,000 people starting on the same day, all over Germany. Logistically, this is crazy, of course. It was hot wire, so our call center was on fire in that time, and people would cancel, and you have no overview whatsoever. Things are going crazy. But you remember we had a management system, and this management system would track all cancellations coming in, more or less in real time, and we could see why would people go, in which city would people go, and for which teacher would people go. So we could immediately see, it's day 1.5, and the teacher here is collecting a lot of cancellations, so let's call him and see if everything is fine, and if it's not, support him or send a substitute. So we could easily react because we could see a key metric here. And of course, if you have a sales talk and try to convince a person to go to the course, it's like, hey, you have nothing to lose, just come 2 days, and if you don't like it, you get everything back, and you get a free book. Please use it in your class. So this was great, and we worked great with that. What do you think? How many % of people would cancel What do you think typical cancellation rates were like? Yes? 5 to 15 percent or people per class? Pretty much so, yeah. We were a little better, actually. We were like between, I would say, 2 and 6%. Well, 6% was like, we were going crazy that we fucked up a lot. Yes. So, so this was a little risky, but on the other hand, we gained so much traction on the market. So we have scaled up now absolutely successfully. So it's 2017. We are on the peak of our endeavor. We had, like in the entire school year, we had 15,000 students, more than 2 million euro revenue. We were still at GBR, like a better flat sharing. It's funny, by the way, legally you are not allowed to do that. It's not possible, but there was a tiny loophole. And this was us. So we come to the next phase. Establishment. What do I mean with establishment? We were market leader at that time, and what you should do is stay market leader. We could all make a decent living now. That was cool. So now it's just about to save this. It's like on football when you are in a knockout round and your team is 1 goal ahead. You don't need to do anything but to seal your goal. Then you have won. And this is what our job here was, establishment. So what are the standard strategies to stay where you are on the market? So now this is some general marketing stuff. Probably ChatGPT could do this better. Of course, you can bet on growth. For instance, if one city, for some reason you had a lot of bad teachers, people wouldn't come in this city, you go to another city and grow there, and then they have like this balance, and maybe you grow in general. So you have some churn, but you're staying where you are. You could also just enter new markets. This is actually what we tried a little. So you could expand to Austria or Switzerland or to places where you have to use different languages, like Italy, Spain, France, UK. You could also extend from mathematics to, say, biology or history or things like that. No one wanted to do that. We were mathematicians. And actually, this is something we did. We started printing books we also sold. But we tried a lot of things here, not very successfully. But here came a problem. By the way, this entire chapter is about us failing hard. So, by the way, on establishment, I forgot that to say. This is actually the beginning of the end. This is where we did not succeed. You will see that soon. So what we did, we tried a lot of new stuff, but we tried it in the same manner we did before. Fast and sloppy. Try it here. If it works, cool. If not, someplace else. It's fun to do it when you are 3 founders that earn all the money, but we had to demand the same stuff from our employees. So our employees were a little tired at the end of 2017 for a good reason, because we were growing fast, and growing fast is very, very exhausting. So in the beginning, we were sprinting. The 2-3 years after, we were still sprinting. But a business is a marathon, and you cannot sprint an entire marathon. At some place, you will get tired, and this was the place. So we entered new market, not very successfully, but we had no stamina to try more. We were kind of tired. We had fights with our employees. By the way, I mean, how would you get employees? You ask your friends. So the employees were mostly our best friends, and if there are fights, things get difficult. They get difficult a lot. You could, of course, buy competitors and get bigger and bigger buying stuff. For some reason, we didn't do that, mostly because we could not do this anymore when we buy companies. And it was also not our way of living, buying companies. Founding is much more fun. And at least one thing you should really do, and we failed on that one, you should monitor the market thoroughly. if you fail to grow or to get bigger or to devour competitors, you should at least check what's going on in the market. You should really know your audience. And if there's any dark clouds coming up, you should know about it before you're wet because it's raining. We failed on that one hard. I mean, we saw things coming up, but we did not draw the right conclusions. Admittedly, it was really difficult to draw the right conclusions. I'm even not sure if I could do this now in hindsight. But things were going a little badly. We did not notice at this point. I mean, we were on the peak. So what did we do instead? Well, we did entirely different things. So David, the other co-founder, he's a genius when it comes to marketing. He was responsible for all the marketing. He's a genius. But he slowly shifted his key interest from marketing to spiritualism and esoteric. So he kind of went down the Grothendieck alley. So he's a genius still, so let's go where the genius is going. So we started to establish self-organizing hierarchies in our company. So we completely resolved the existing hierarchy to a self-organized system. It's called holacracy. It's actually a talk kind of on its own part. I won't talk about that, but it's a highly bureaucratic way to have organization of a company without any hierarchies. It's crazy, and we worked this out, and we put a lot of effort in it, got a lot of trainings in there to get more out of our employees, because we were thinking that all the fighting with the employees is because they don't have enough responsibilities. I'm not sure if this was true. But David was fully into it, and so let's try it. And I liked it a little also, but it did not solve our real problem. We got a lot of trainings, nonviolent communication. There was a lot of fighting, so let's learn nonviolent communication. Spoiler, it's not what you think it is, so it's not like soft talk. It's still a nice tool on your tool belt. This is what I always thought it was. For David, it was like a religion. So things got a little bad here as well. But what we missed to do was to look at the outside. So 1 or 2 years, we were completely busy in looking inside the company, do team building stuff, and like all the soft skills work. While outside, a thunderstorm was emerging. So, what happened on the outside? So first of all, Facebook was not a thing anymore. Facebook went down. GDPR came. So, actually it was not GDPR, it was really Facebook. Facebook was the measure or the instrument to attract people to our course. Now people were not on Facebook anymore. Now the parents were on Facebook. And parents, for some reason, you cannot advertise with a pretty girl. So Facebook entirely dropped. You might think now, then let's go to Instagram. For some reason, Instagram did not work. So we lost a huge marketing source. And the same holds true with the flyers. For some reason, our catchy cover letter, which we still use so far, did not work out anymore. We could never find out why not, because in all the reviews, we did a lot of survey of our classes. We did, so we had like surveys within the class that were mandatory. We had a great quality. It was never better than then. People would not, or teachers would not hand out our flyers. My theory is, I'm not sure if this is correct, is that they were flooded with advertisement material back then. Like 2014, schools were still pretty greenfield to advertisers. I think in 2018 and later, they really started to get flooded because other companies figured out that high school students are a cash cow. So this is a problem, and we had more or less, all of a sudden, no primary marketing anymore. we would hardly notice that, actually, because our course was good, and we had a lot of word-of-mouth marketing. So still a lot of people would come. We would lose like 10, 20% from one year to the other, because we could not attract new people, but people could tell their siblings or their younger friends that this is the best preparation for the Abitur. So we would decrease slowly, while in real, the forest was already burning highly on fire. But we couldn't see because it was still pretty good for us. And in hindsight, I know that actually the market was entirely shifting. People would not need courses. We were like steam engine manufacturers in the early 1900s. So it was not only about marketing that we failed, it was about people were not interested in courses anymore. I don't know why, because they needed them now more than ever, I think. But probably too much TikTok, too little attention span. People would not commit for 5 days courses. Or maybe YouTube learning is much better now, and nowadays it's extremely difficult with AI as well. So we did not notice that actually the market itself was shifting. We could know if we would talk to our competitors and if we do some investigation there. At this point, we thought we have fewer and fewer sign-ups because our competitors were too strong. Truth was, our competitors were struggling even more. So it's a chapter on its own part, this 2020. You know what's going on there for on-site business, which crammed a lot of people in one room. But more things were about to happen. So let's start this story at the beginning. The marketing guru was still in charge of marketing, and he figured out one day he's not able to do any marketing anymore, so he was supposed to hire a marketing person. This should take place in 2018 or 2019. It happened at the end of 2019, when a new marketing genius would enter our company. Way too late. Now you could ask, why did we not put pressure to or hire a marketing leader ourselves? This is part of the self-organizing thing we learned. We would not go into other people's domains. So it took way too long until we hired a marketing specialist. And the marketing specialist was pretty offending to all of us because we made things horribly wrong. And it was especially offending to David. By the way, Martin already left the company so far. Martin left the company when he figured out that he is not the boss anymore. We don't have a full hierarchy anymore, but he's just a part among others. He left there because he wanted to do stuff, like he wanted to do stuff. So his ego was not working with this sort of organization. So it was only David and me at this time. And then on March the 5th, out of the blue, David left. He figured out that, like, oh, it's not my company, I don't like it anymore. I know it now. It was March the 5th. And it's an intense time at that time because we were preparing classes that would take place in April, or end of March, actually. So this was an intense time. This is like the high season for Abiturma. And you cannot just leave. And even worse, he took the HR person with him. HR is like the key person who knows all the teachers and knows which teacher to put in which city, and so on. He took her with him because they were some sort of a couple, and she would not stay. She was there because he was there. She would quit the same day. So this was kind of an intense situation because we had to fill 2 huge voids. And then, roughly a week later, I think you know what happened there. Yes. So we were all set. Courses will start in 2 weeks, and these are the courses we earn our money from. like all the years we spend money, we also earn some money for the courses that will come. So we are a little low on money there. We still fully equity, so we still have money, but we spend a lot in expectation of the money that will come now. Many people have already paid. Yes, and then we get a phone call Friday morning, the 13th. The first school is calling us. Yes, you cannot rent our rooms. And this is a catastrophe because sometimes it takes you months to rent rooms or to find suitable rooms. The girl who was in charge of finding rooms was devastated, but it's still manageable, kind of. You have to work some night shifts, metaphorically. After 2 hours, 5, 6, 7 more venues called and canceled their contract. So we were on fire, we were screwed, kind of. Our business was entirely shattered. It's not working anymore. So we had a thing, we had the lockdown. It was not on Friday the 13th, it was a week later, but at this moment we noticed our company is not existing anymore. Now it's really ephemeral. Now it's gone. It's not existing. And we would know that on March 28th, a course for 2,500 people would start. If these people would not come, we would be highly indebted. Actually, I would, because I was alone at this point. And I was still here. So it was fun up to now. Now it was not fun anymore. I got really scared. I mean, devastatingly scared. We had a meeting on this very Friday. There were a lot of tears, and actually it was not only my tears, but all our employees. We were absolutely screwed. So we had to come up with a solution. And by the way, the money-back guarantee is a cool thing, isn't it? No, it's not anymore. Now it screws you up entirely. So what did we do? We had to deal with it. Remember, we have 2 weeks left. So we have to put everything together. What we can do, I mean, what is the first and obvious idea? Yeah, okay, we make an online course, of course. Yes, we make it online. Sure. We had some lucky things here. So we were thinking about, yeah, maybe we go to YouTube Live or something, and then, okay, 2,500 people are listening, and I hope they have no questions. So what we did, we had some very, very lucky circumstances here. One of our teachers, like of our employees, was starting his own career as math influencer. He was a super charismatic guy. He had video gear, and he started to produce videos day and night for 2 weeks. You remember what we had? We had our management system. Our management system would know about teachers, students, which student would book which course, which state each student would be. The system would know about all this. All what we needed to do was to create a separate login, not only for teachers, but for students as well. So we could build up our own learning platform for all these people because we had all the data already together. So we did this. So cool, we have a separate login. We can check if people have paid and ban people as well. That is cool. And what else do we have? Do you remember our content, our book? It's written in LaTeX, so it's already in code. And code is cool because you can automate things, and this is what we did, kind of. So we created a course, we played out the content of the course by the respective state. So a student from Berlin will see Berlin stuff within the course. A student from Bavaria will see Bavaria stuff in the course. So that was great, and we had all on place. And since we established like the self-organizing thing, people were able to work independently on their own. We just had to put it together because I was a really bad leader at that time, because I was a little scared of the things that might come. But self-management worked great and everyone was highly motivated. And we had one little salt on the thing. If you would just publish an online course, an asynchronous online course, it's boring. You could also send just the book. But here, we made the exact same thing. If you have your course on Friday 8:30, the online course would start Friday 8:30. You would be in the class with the same people like before, so you would see a countdown on your login page, and when the clock turns 8:30, you will have access to like all your learning materials of day one, not more. Next day was already a countdown again. We had a live video conference with the other 25 guys. So we had like a classroom-like environment. So this way we could deal and we could most accurately resemble like an on-site course. What do you think with pricing? So to give you more imagination about this setting, you have to imagine like this is the curve where people signed up. It goes highly up in March, and then here's March 13th. We're done. People will call and cancel because they don't think that an online course will work. They did not trust us that an online course will work. We got a lot of cancellations before, like 500 or so. What do you think with pricing? The course was, I think, 150 euro then. What would you do for the price to compensate for having it online? What do you think? What do you think we did? Say again? Yeah, how much? How much would you lower it? 15%? 150, 15%? Oh no, this is getting awkward. This is a little lower. Yeah, it's 22.5 euro lower, so then we are at 127.5 euro. Yeah, 15% sounds nice. What we did? No.
Oh.
Why would we go down with the price? We are not selling that you have the opportunity to use the train and to come to a specific place and sit there with 25 guys you have never seen. This is not our product. Our product is the best preparation for the math exam. And this is independent of the place where it takes place. So no, we would not lower the price. I mean, in particular cases maybe, but not in general, because we were still selling the same product. And the product we sold was not worse than the original product they booked. So no, we would not go down with the price. Not a bit, because we convinced people it's the same course. And we advertised it as the same course. It just takes place at your home, with probably your same siblings in the room and maybe a crying baby, but it's still the same course. It worked out. It worked out greatly, by the way. We had a lot of cancellations before, but when the course was running, cancellation quote was like it was always, between 2 and 6%. So we kept going on with online courses. I mean, now we have programmed it, we have established it, we kept them on. So even after Corona, we had online classes, so we became a fully hybrid company. To give you a feeling, I told you spring 2017, we had 12,000 people. With Corona, we still had 6,000 people coming in our class. It's much less, but seeing Corona coming, it's still okay, actually. And we could do a living, and there were a lot of benefits coming here. Of course, we could save the money for the rooms. We charged the people the same price, but we saved a lot of money on the other hand. This was cool. I mean, it's not so nice to not give it back to the customer, but we needed the money. And we did not have teachers traveling. So a thing that set us apart is we were later on in 70 cities in Germany, and in many cities there are no suitable math teachers. So we had to travel them, we had to cover the travel expenses. We didn't need traveling teachers anymore. We had to pay them a sketchboard for 60 or 100 euro, and that's it. So no more traveling teachers. We had huge problems when teachers got sick before. So usually what we did, we had a couple of substitutes that were on hold, and when they got a call like, yeah, I need you in Nuremberg, they got on the train and were the next day in Nuremberg. But you would still miss one entire day, usually. Due to German Bahn, sometimes it was 2 days. But you would miss time. If a teacher gets sick or is a bad teacher, you could replace the teacher within minutes, actually within seconds. This was super cool, so this makes you much more agile. We had no room issues anymore. If you wouldn't find a room in a particular city, just run an online course. And we could spin up our courses super fast. So we could see after spring that people liked actually our online course. So we just invented a new course, like a course where people can make real mathematical tasks and drills, and just made it like the next weekend we make a course. And it's super easy because you have no logistics around it. You just spin up a new course in the web interface, and there it is. It's super easy. So we could get another 500 or 600 new bookings by just riding the wave. And we could make new formats of courses that were not possible before, like weekend courses. You cannot rent a room on the weekend. It's crazy. We could easily do it. And we could live a little longer. And what's the last? Yeah, and we could expand to Eastern Germany, because in Eastern Germany you have no big cities. It's very difficult, but we could now cover all Germany. That was cool. We also thought about covering Austria, but there were some problems in expanding to Austria, especially when it comes to taxes. Unfortunately, there's still more. Yeah, we could sell courses that are fully asynchronous, so there's no teacher involved. It's just a learning platform. It's cool, it's passive income. We could sell them as well. It did not suffice, unfortunately. It was not enough to cover up for the things that went bad in the past. By the way, because it's a soft skill talk, another benefit for all this Corona thing, we spent 3 years before to make team building and nonviolent communication and stuff. It didn't work out at all. After Corona, we were the best team we ever had. We were real friends by then. Because if you undergo such a treatment, you are a team or you do not exist as a company anymore. We could still not survive long term. Why? Because the marketing was still shifting. People did not want to come to a course, whether it's at home or if it's at some place where they meet people. They don't want to book a course anymore. The demand is still not there. This is the downside of it's the same product. It's also a product people don't want anymore. We did not know at this time still. We still were thinking our competitor is just so much bigger now. We could not solve the marketing issue. It's the same. We could not make a new primary marketing channel. And with Corona, we got a dip. And because it's only word of mouth, we could not come out of this dip anymore. And of course, if you go online, you have new competitors. And online is a nice place for investment capitalists to pour money on. So suddenly we had competitors that were not like a $2 million company like we were, but they had investment capital of 10, 20, 30 million euro. So we could not compete with these ones. I was more or less the only developer and with a designer that ran our course. They had like a team of 20 to 30 people that were already developing online learning stuff. So in the end, our signups went downhill still. And so I come to the end of the story. How did all of this end? You could see already in the title that it's not a happy ending, so it's no surprise. So it started in winter 21. Our designer, who was also in charge of marketing quite a bit, came to me and said like, hey, I'm so frustrated. We do so much things, but people won't sign up. It's not fun anymore. He was there from the beginning. He was there in the 12,000 people days. He was just frustrated, and I talked a lot with him, and I figured out, okay, he will leave sooner or later. So I gathered our team, because I knew at this time, if just one person in the team will leave, they are best friends now. No one could cover up for this loss. And so I gathered the team. I told them 2022 will be our last season, and after that we are all free. In March 2022, I've released everyone from the company, effective in June. So we agreed on leaving, so it was not firing. It was just they left, and I told them I will close down the company. Nice side effect. I did not need to pay salaries for half a year, and when you stop the company right after you have the big money on your account, it's a good time, actually. So in the end, I sold the company to a competitor. During all the negotiations with selling the company, I figured, wow, all our competitors, where we suspected they will be bigger than us, they weren't. They were struggling even more. They had not the means to deal with Corona like we had. So I did not know it before I started negotiating with the competitors. The cool thing, though, is Abiturma stayed profitable every single year. I mean, it's important because the money you lose is your own money. That was really cool. So it's a silver lining. Every single year, this company was profitable, even in the year we closed down. So we exactly matched the point where you have to stop your business before you got debt. Actually, 2022 was really successful in terms of money. After selling the company, Abiturma shrunk further. We are now down by around 1,500 sign-ups. So it shrunk down quite a bit. It's still operational. It's still working. The management system is still in production. All our competitors do not exist any longer. They're all gone. Or at least their courses are not. They're not offering courses anymore. So Abiturma is still the only company out there that runs courses, probably not so long anymore, but it's still working. Okay, this is it. This was the talk. Thank you for your patience. I hope it was not too boring. Yeah, that's it. You find the talk online. There's actually a web page here. Yeah, that's it.